Good evening, everybody. I welcome you all for this virtual meeting today, happening on behalf of our Metropolis Group of Heritage. And today's topic, which I'm going to present you as a PowerPoint presentation, will be on the Kakatiya temple architecture. The Kakatiya dynasty were the rulers of the Andhra region and the present-day Telangana state. They had ruled this region for over 300 years from 11th century to 14th century. This entire Telangana region of present day was under the Kakatiya dynasty for almost 300 years. The 1,000-pillared temple in Hanamkonda, very close to Warangal, once this Warangal was known as Warangal. An outstanding contribution of the Kakatiyas in their temple architecture during their reign of 300 years. The Rudraeshwara temple, now more known as 1,000-pillar temple, and in Telugu it is called as Veyi Stambala Gudi, that is 1,000-pillar temple. This temple construction was started by the Kakatiya great ruler Rudradeva, and it was continued by his son Ganpati Deva and Rudramma Devi, and after that Prataparudra. Between 1175 to 1324 CE, the entire temple construction had taken place in this Hanamkonda area, which was the capital of the Kakatiyas in those days. This temple, if you see, it's built on a raised platform, very much like the Vesara style of the Chalukyan architecture, and so to say, Hoysalas also followed the same style of architecture, where the temple is built on a very high raised plinth, and it has got multiple moldings, so it is called as Vesara style of architecture. This temple is built again with Trikutas, which means there are 3 sanctums dedicated in one temple, and in this particular temple, the 3 sanctums are dedicated to Shiva facing the east, and Surya facing the west, and Vishnu facing the north. The 3 sanctums that you see here in this temple. Now what you see here in this projections of the picture here is the west facing temple of Surya. The temple, a beautiful temple which took so long to complete by the Kakatiyas, was totally destroyed by the Delhi Sultanate under Malika IV. And Alauddin Khilji's army, when it invaded, the first target that they could get into the south of India was this particular temple. They plundered this temple, ransacked this temple, broke all the sculptures, everything, and left it in shambles. And that was the contribution of the great Delhi Sultanates. This wonderful temple was built highly as a model structure designed like that of pillars all around the outer wall. And that's why it gets the name as 1,000-pillar temple. If you see here, the outer wall, every projection is so beautifully molded in such a way that it resembles that of a pillar. So that way, if you see that entire structure looks like as if pillars are placed close to one another, and that's why this temple gets the name as 1,000-pillared temple. The richly carved pillars of the Navaranga Mandapam, right in the entrance of the temple, the perforated screens, the jolly works, the huge outstanding sculptures of elephants, the beautiful icons, and highly decorated monolithic dolerite Nandi are all that which adds to the beauty and the grace of these wonderful temples. The main temple, which I said is a Trikuta Vimana, you find the two sanctums on the either side, one facing east, which is dedicated to Shiva, and the one facing west is dedicated to Surya, and the one behind here, facing south, is for the Vishnu. The northern side temple is for Vishnu. The monolithic Nandi is a huge Nandi leading totally beautiful, facing towards the temple. And it is placed right exactly in halfway between the temple and the Kalyana Mandapa, which is just behind this Nandi. This is the wonderful Kalyana Mandapa. The entire complex was built by the Kakatiyas, which is considered to be the greatest engineering marvel. And they have used a particular technology for building this particular entire temples, which is known as sandbox technology. When you say sandbox technology, it's a very, very unique technology where the entire complex where the structure is going to come, they dig out 3-meter pit and a full retaining wall is built around that. And it is filled with sand, river sand. And then it is supported by the pile foundations. And thereby the temple grows up from that level. So why they had used this particular technique was, this area was prone for seismic activities, and any such disturbances will not affect and will not make the temple to crash down. So that is the wonderful technology which they had used it. And this entire temple complex of 1,000-pillar temple is totally built based on this technology. You find huge ornate pillars in this temple in the Navaranga Mandapam. These pillars are so beautiful and they all resemble very much like that of the late turn pillars. As if the late turn pillars that you see in the wooden works is seen here on stone, granite. And this is all made of not granite alone, black basalt, and some of the structures which you see in the black color are made of dolerite rocks, which are much, much harder than the granite. So this dolerite was used for this construction of this temple. The pillars alone are beautifully designed and decorated with a lot of ornamentations. Look at the pillar. The base is square, and as it goes, it becomes octagonal, then circular, then again with a lot of moldings, it comes as a huge square, and thereby it turns out to be a cylindrical pillar of different sizes and ends up as a beautiful structure altogether. So these pillars are all turned out using some sort of a machine in those days, and that too, this machine cutting on granite was done those days. And these pillars were just not plain late-turn pillars like what we see in the Hoysala temples. They are very, very ornate. Look at this ornate temple, ornate pillar. Right on the top, the square base is so beautifully decorated with filigree works, and the center portions, wherever the circle is there, it is done with toranas, and so beautifully and very intricately it has been done. You can see the artistic designs on the roof and the top of the pillar, the square base, top of the pillar, so very artistic with the Kirti Mukhas. The 4 Kirti Mukhas are located on the 4 corners with a lot of filigree work all around. Look at the center portion of this pillar. It's so ornate, so beautiful floral designs are seen in the middle. And right above that is such a beautiful ornamentation that exactly resembles that of the gold bangles which the women wear today. Very artistic and beautiful designs, all carved out of very hard granite, and that too in a highly polished state. When you see these sculptures, every sculpture is not just a bas relief, there's a small gap in between them. If you could insert a small wire, the wire can be inserted on one side and can be taken out from the other side. To that extent, very small gap is being given in this projections that are made out for these floral designs. It's an amazing piece of art that you could see in this wonderful temple. Look at this. This they call it as Mutyala Toranam. That is a string of pearls has been attached on the top of this entire structure. Each and every pearl is beautifully designed, rounded in shape, and it's hung in a beautiful manner. It's called as Mutyala Torana. This is what I was telling, the floral designs with Kirtimukhas. Between the legs of that demon, you can just insert a small twig and it can come out to the other side. So such is the intricate work of these Kakatiyas, which has been shown beautifully in the pillars of this temple. The roofs are also beautifully designed. The roofs, all these pillars are connected with raft beams. The raft beams, some of them are highly decorated, some of them are left plain, and just above the raft beams, cross beams are placed, and above that, the entire structure, the dome is beautifully done in the shape of an open lotus bud. Look at that roof design here. First, it starts with the square, and then again diagonally that square is coming up, and smaller version of that square again diagonally, and then the roof starts up into a beautiful dome shape. And that dome is beautifully decorated with floral motifs. Look at that Kirtimukha decoration, which you could see in the corner angles of these beams. This Kirtimukha is very, very popular in all the temples. You can find this Kirtimukha behind the gods in the Prabha Mandalas and everything. This Kirtimukha is considered as a great thing that just absorbs all the evil things and just takes away from the people who come there to the temple, everything, all the evil in their mind, everything is being absorbed by this Kirtimukha, it is said. So that's why you find it in all the temples. And these people, Kakatiyas, have given very great importance to this Kirtimukha, and they have given it, depicted it in all the angles of the temple. And this has been very beautifully and very elaborately designed with floral motifs all around, and totally it's polished like mirror. And even today you can see the polish is being retained even after almost 800 years. This door jamb, the door frame of the main sanctum. Look at the beautiful door frame of the main sanctum, which is so intricately done. The pillar portion is very intricate with so many designs. You have the leaping yalis on one side and some other floral motifs on this. And the entire frame, door frame, is so intricately being done on all the three sanctums of the temple. Apart from this door frames, side by side, they've also introduced this wonderful jolly work. Totally cut out of granite stone, a single piece of granite stone with so many perforations. And everything is beautifully carved with floral motifs. It's amazing to see this jolly designs, and that too done on a hard granite rock with such perfection. It's amazing. What is this line come up? What is all this line coming up? Um, Prashant? Okay. This is the design of the door jamb right on the top. Very beautifully and very intricately being done here. You can see all these wonderful designs on the door. Very, very intricately carved out. Right in front of the sanctum. And there is a beautiful panel at the entrance of every sanctum, and which has got the makaras on either side of that, and the floral motifs emerging from the makara. And here you find the makara and Varuna seated on the makara of this particular panel design. You have long, very beautiful monolithic elephants and freestanding sculptures. These elephants are very natural and very beautiful. Hundreds of these elephants were found in this temple once upon a time when they had built it. At every eve corner, you had this beautiful elephants statues being kept there. Unfortunately, today, only a few of them are remaining. Not only elephants, it was also decorated with a lot of bulls, very intricately carved bulls. These were also placed at vantage points in all the places, adding beauty to this temple. The Vimana on top of this temple, which was a brick structure or stone structure, we do not know, was totally broken and it was totally dismantled by the Muslim invasions. And now today, this temple remains without a Vimana. Look at this wonderful Ganesha, dancing Ganesha, again totally mutilated. Another one, image of Vishnu. Look at the decorated walls. The walls all around this temple, covering the three sanctums, are beautifully decorated with moldings. A perfect molding resembling that of a pillar. Very beautiful moldings are there. Now you could see this. The entire structure looks like pillars arranged together. You can make out everything looks like pillars arranged together. And there are balconies available to give free ventilation inside the Navaranga Mantapam. So this is the reason why it gets the 1,000-pillar temple. And the base, the Adrishtanam, is also so beautiful and wonderfully decorated in different levels. Look at this wonderful molding of the pillars all around the outer wall. Now, if you could see this particular pillars and the outer wall, normally when you see any temple which is built out of small granite blocks, when they place one granite block on top of the other, there's normally a gap in between that, and the gap is always noticed. If you see in this temple, there's not a single gap that you could notice it. It is impossible to make, it is not a single piece structure. It is multiple blocks of granite which has been arranged as a pillar and done that. But still you don't see any small crack or any separating line between one block and another. How could they achieve it? They could achieve this only because of the interlocking system, multiple level interlocking system which they had introduced in those days. It's an amazing feature of architecture where they have used multiple level of interlocking of all these granite blocks together and thereby giving it as a uniform look or a massive look together. And this was one of the great reasons why when the Malik Kafur invaded this place, he could not dismantle the temple because it was not a structure which was placed one above the other, but it was interlocked so beautifully that they could not dismantle this particular structure in total. Look at the outer wall. And every corners that you see here are so beautifully decorated, molded and brought out to perfection. And every corner like this, what you see here, was decorated with the sculptures of that of what we saw, that elephant and Nandi in every corner, thereby adding much great beauty to this particular temple. Unfortunately, a few of them are what we can see today. The rest has all been damaged and vanished. Look at this colossal Nandi, the granite Nandi right in front of the temple. A beautiful ornate Nandi made of black basalt and very, very intricately carved with designs of jewelry all around it. Unfortunately, the leg of the Nandi is been broken, but still it has got the grace and the majesty to be the Vahana of Shiva. Look at the design. It's as good as the gold jewelry designs. Every small ornament that Nandi is being decorated is so beautifully and very intricately being done that resembles that of the gold jewelries. Look at this. The different haras that has been adorned on Nandi at different levels is absolutely no match to it. The Kalyana Mandapa, which is dilapidated today, once upon a time it was looking like this in a bad condition, and people were not allowed inside to go there because it was in a state of almost collapsing. So now the restoration work for this Kalyana Mandapa is being taken out by one Kakatiya Foundation, and they are doing a very, very excellent job. Of course, it has consumed a lot of time, more than 15, 20 years they've been trying to do this. They have dismantled this entire block of the Kalyan Mandapa, taken away each and every block, numbered it and kept it about in a site about 2 kilometers away from this place, spread out, and then they have excavated the sandbox and the entire sand was removed, again preserved. The retaining walls were completed, the sand was filled again, and then they have started constructing the mandapa as it is in the original plan by placing all these stone blocks that they had numbered and kept it and brought it back and placed it in order. And this construction has been going on. It's a very, very laborious task, and it's almost taken about 10, 15 years for them to complete it. Still, the work is on and not completed in full. And once this is complete, it will be again a beautiful engineering marvel that has been recreated by today. Look at this. The mandapa is under construction with so many supports for it in place. Now, this is the graphic view of how this Kakatiya temple would have been or will be after the entire thing is over. This is the beautiful Kalyan Mandapa which you see here, the roof of which is totally collapsed. The roof has to be rebuilt totally. Now the Mandapa construction alone is over up to 80% of it. And now they have to start with the roof construction. And again, some of the roof construction in the main temple area also has to be done. And once this has been completed, this will be the graphic view. This will be the view of the great 1,000-pillar temple of Rudreshwara built by the great Kakatiyas. And now in this temple complex, one side of this temple complex, you find hundreds or thousands of images and pillars, everything lying in shambles there. This is again the base of a Shivalinga, which is seen there. And all these things were destroyed by the Malikapur invasion, and they were lying all over the place. These people have shifted these things to a safer place inside the temple complex. And I don't know, God alone knows when these things are going to be restored. Every piece that is lying down there, if you see, it's an amazing piece of art. This is a Dwarapalaka which is lying down here, Shiva Dwarapalaka, which is almost 10 feet in height and very intricately carved. I don't know whether it was broken like this by the Muslim invasion or while transporting it to the spot or anything. Is absolutely a big question which we don't know to answer. But I do not see any light in these coming back to life in the temple. It's unfortunate that these wonderful sculptures of the great Kakatiyas will be lost forever. Look at that. Look at the base, standing base for this wonderful Dwarapalaka. The legs alone are there. The foot alone is there. The legs are all chopped. The body is chopped into multiple pieces. When and how are they going to join it and keep it in place? It's an unanswered question. And this temple has got a beautiful stepped well, which is called as Koneru. And this has got sweet water all around the year. And this is the tank dedicated to the Rudraeshwara temple of Hanamkonda. Now we come to the second temple of the Kakatiyas, which is known as Ramappa temple. This is the most magnificent temple or most magnificent creations of the Kakatiya dynasty. Ramappa temple is located at Palampet, which is about 65 kilometers from Warangal. A marvelous creation of the Kakatiyas is what we see here in this wonderful temple of Ramappa. Ramalingeshwara Swami temple is now known as Ramappa temple. This Ramappa is the name of the sculptor or the chief architect who built this temple. This colossal temple is the only temple in this world to be named after their architect, not by the name of the builder who built it, or not by the name of the God who has been sanctified inside. This temple is so very beautiful, and the credit for this particular temple is being given to the architect Ramappa, who had built it. This wonderful Ramappa temple was built by Rechariya Rudra. He was the general of Ganapati Deva and he built it in the year 1213. So this temple was built by a general under the great king Ganapati Deva. And this temple is totally built not with granite stones, but with the locally available sandstone. Again, this is built on an elevated platform of star shape, very similar to that of the Kalyani Chalukyas in the Vesara style. The Vimana on the top of the sanctum is a brick and mortar structure. The special feature of this brick structure is that the bricks that they have used is light in weight, which is almost 1/10 of the normal bricks that has been used. Why did they choose this sort of a brick and how did they make this brick? There's a wonderful story. The sandstone, they had their own doubt whether the entire structure can take the load of the Vimana. So they wanted to do it as a brick structure. And the brick also had to be lighter in weight. So they selected a method for making that brick. That brick, even today, floats on water. So light it is, like a thermocol sheet it is. So they have used the sand instead of using the regular lime or any other thing to mix with the sand. They have used the gum available from the forest. The natural gum which was available from the trees in the forest close by. That gum was added to the clay or the sand, and then the brick shapes were made, and again it was fired up to the high temperature and the bricks were formed up. So these bricks are very light in weight. They float on the water. So using that brick, they had built the entire structure of the Vimana on top of this Ramappa temple. Unfortunately, what happened, this was a marvel, and the local people started stealing these bricks to a great extent. Today, the archaeological survey has used some other structure and filled up the portions, lost portions, and they have plastered it so that the original bricks cannot be taken away by anybody. They've been restored and plastered. The ornate Navaranga Mandapa in front of the sanctum. What a beautiful structure it is. A sandstone structure with openings from 3 sides. You can enter into the Navaranga Mandapa. And behind that, facing east, is the sanctum of Ramalingeshwara. This beautiful mandapa has projections all around the star shape that it has taken place. And these cantilever projections are beautifully supported by the brackets of Yalis and Madanikas and Nagini sculptures. All these sculptures are again created and carved out of the dolerite stones, which are much, much harder than the granite stones we see here. These dolerite stones, which is black in color and very hard material, is being used as a bracket to give the support, a cantilever support to the extended mandapa. What a beautiful technology that has been used, is marvelous in this particular temple. The dolerite bracket figure, a masterpiece of the creations of the Kakatiyas in this temple. Look at this dancing girl. Look at her. So beautiful. Amazing. All these sculptures are created of this hard granite, and they are highly intricate with designs of jewelry, everything very elaborately done, and it's also polished very highly like that of mirror. Even today, after 800 years, the polish is still seen very bright in these temple sculptures. This is the Yali. The highly polished stone sculptures of Yali, the Madanikas, everything is very strategically positioned in such a way that they create an effect that combines the light and the space so wonderfully, so wonderfully. It's been so beautifully arranged that the light passes through very well, and the figure is also seen very well, and thereby giving a rich look to the entire structure. Look at the cantilever inside. What intricate design work has been done on the extensions of the cantilevers. The eaves are so beautifully done, ornate, very similar to the Kodungai designs that we see in the temples of Avadiyar Koil and other places. Very, very intricately done. Of course, this is done in sandstone, but in par with any of those beautiful Kodungai designs which we find in Tamil Nadu. The most exquisite Madanikas and Nagini sculptures that you could see here. Look at this. This lady is standing with her hands kept right behind her head. Such a beautiful one. Though this is a bas relief sculpture, it's almost rounded off with very little portion sticking on to the back area of that stone. Everything is almost rounded off, thereby giving a total look of a freestanding sculpture. Look at this. Again, a beautiful dancing Madhanika. Look at this wonderful huntress. A lady going for hunting, holding a bow, and she is a thorn is picked her, and the maid down is trying to pull the thorn out from her leg. Look at the tree under which she stands here. So beautiful. Very intricately been done. Look at this. Again, another lady. She's dressed up very well and she's walking with the platform shoes. This is what we see nowadays. Women, to show them tall, they use this platform shoes, which was there, and she's trying to chase away with one small branch of a tree that she has plucked out, trying to chase away something. And though these sculptures are so wonderful, very beautifully done, very intricately done, but there is an element of some beauty which is lacking. But then when we compare it with the faces and the depiction of the Chola beauties, it's totally a different jargon altogether. These figures are much elongated in shape and totally different. The facial features are entirely different. The hairstyles are different. The dressing patterns are different, which is totally native to that region. We can very clearly understand the nativity of this particular sculptures that are being presented in these bracket figures of this temple. Look at this. Again, a beautiful dancing Madhanika. And this is again a beautiful lady. Now, what is so important in this, you can see the fingers. Unlike the sculptures that we see in many of the temples where the fingers are all shown close together without any gap, here every small finger is given differently, so beautifully, and it can be seen as in a very natural form, which again a marvelous feature that has been done on such a hard granite material and to this extent with a highly polished nature. Amazing beauty. And not only that, the expressions shown on the face is also amazing. This lady has got Raudram in her face. Look at her eyes are jutting out and bulging and she's staring at somebody. The expression is so beautifully and vividly given in these sculptures. Look at this. Again, a lady holding a bow and arrow. This is a different lady with her legs crossed so beautifully. Look at the design of the tree or the vein under which she's standing. So beautifully and so intricately been done in this hard material. Look at this. She's again a dancer with an abhinaya. And look at this. She's a lady who has worn a small thin cloth around her waist. and she was walking. A monkey pulled her cloth away. Immediately, the cloth slips from her waist and comes down. She tries to close her parts very clearly and chasing away the monkey so beautifully. Look at the designs that has been done on the cloth that you could see on her thighs. The monkey pulling the cloth, she trying to chase away, and look at her earrings and look at her posture in which she is driving away the monkey. Amazing sculpture indeed. Again, a dancer, a Madhanika. This is again a dancer with so beautiful depiction of the fingers, very elaborate depiction of the fingers and the jewelry that you could see in this. Look at this lady. Look at her earring. She's wearing such a big earring. So much of intricate design in that. And it's beyond imagination for us to see an earring of that size in any of the lady if she could wear it. And look at the hairstyle. See, unlike the sculptures of Tamil Nadu where the hair is shown beautifully in wavy nature, here the hair is shown flat to the face with small curls at the tip of the forehead alone has been seen. And this is probably the way of dressing of the locals at that time, at that place. This gives you a vivid picture of how women dress in that area during that period. It's a remarkable depiction of history in this sculpture. The ornate outer walls of this temple. These outer walls are beautifully decorated with floral motifs and dancing figures throughout. All over, they have been depicted like this. The base is depicted with elephants, the flowers, and above that, the dancers, and you'll find some other flower arrangement again there. This is how the 4 levels of this beautiful basements are being designed for this temple. The elephants, the flowers, again the dancers, all different poses of karanas. I come to it later. This beautiful dancing images and the images of ladies and men playing different musical instruments are seen in this level. And above that, again, it's floral designs. And then it starts with the pillars on top. Look at the Adrishtana, so beautifully done. When you see these elephants, it looks like thousands of elephants are running around this temple on a continuous basis. It looks so beautiful and very natural. And at the corners, you find very intricately done the Ashtatikpalaka sculptures, which are being supported by Makara designs, elephant designs, and Makara and elephant fighting together. And above that, you find these Hamsas and Yalis of different nature here, totally adding beauty to this wonderful Ramappa temple. Look at these elephants. They're all going, they look very identical. But if you closely watch it, every elephant is different. One has got this trunk lifted like this, another one is hanging its trunk, third one is slightly bent different way. Look at this. So there is small difference between one elephant or other elephant shown in the trunk or the position of the leg or the ears or something like that, making it thousands of elephants are galloping around this particular temple. What a beautiful creation of it. And of course, you have some of the sculptures depicting the Kama Sutra, and the erotic sculptures are also there in this particular temple. In the southern end of this prakara outside. Some of them are there, but they are not very clearly depicted like what we see in Khajuraho or in other places, but it's been depicted in a slightly cruder manner. Look at these dancers, the dancing girls at different levels, and the people playing different musical instruments are also beautifully given. And of course, Mithuna couples are also shown there. That is, Mithuna couple means the love couples, people who are in love. They are also shown at different points in this temple. Now we come to the Mantapa, the main Mantapa, Navaranga Mantapa. This has again got beautiful late turn sculptures, pillars all around. But the outer pillars are devoid of much decorations, and they are all made of sandstone, and they form the outer periphery of this entire Mantapa. All made out of sandstones. They have a square base, then again the shaft becomes smaller, circular base, and again becomes a square, and then ends up in the final circle, topped up with a square top. This is the Ramalingeshwara Swami inside the sanctum. Look at the beautiful lintel design here of Shiva in dancing pose. You have the perforated jolly work here on either side, and the beautiful door jamb right here. And these four pillars are the outstanding creations of the Kakatiyas in this temple. This is called as the Nritya Mandapam. Now, if you see the floor, you can find the floor in different levels. Because of the seismic activity that had taken place sometime, the entire temple at some points has sunk down and it's still remaining intact. That is because of the sandbox technology that they have used here in this temple. Though the floor is uneven, it has withstood all these natural calamities and still it is perfect in nature. This is the four pillars of this Navaranga Mandapam, which are very, very ornate, totally done out of this dolerite blocks and very, very intricately carved. I mean, it's very intricate, unimaginable beauty. Look at this. We'll see that beautiful pillars in close quarters. Look at this. Look at the beautiful design of the pillar. Every area, nook and corner of this temple, you will find dance poses being depicted. Now see this picture. There are 7 people standing in a row. There should be 14 legs, but if you count the leg, it will be only 12. These 2 legs of the center person also becomes a common leg for these 2 people on the side. And that's how they have created these dancing poses in this. Amazing wonders, amazing wonders. Not 1 or 2 like this, but plenty of such sculptures are seen in this wonderful temple. Look at this. The pillar, the center portion, the octagonal portion is so beautifully and intricately carved with dancing figures. It's not 1 or 2 dancing figures. A pillar has got almost about 50 to 60 dancing figures. and musicians going around. So the dance, it starts from one, suppose you take from this end, this particular figure, it goes as an entire, if you go around and see, the entire movement has been depicted there. The entire flow of the dance movement is predicted there. So that is how these pillars are designed. Look at this, the intermediate portion, so beautifully designed like that of a golden bangle. And below that, you have the Mithuna couples and every other small thing, details given here. Of course, these are all again a late turn pillars with square, octagonal and round shapes. Plenty of floral designs. The Mukyala Haram, which is said here, and the dancing figures here. It's every pillar is so beautiful, so intricate, and it's amazing beauty to see. And definitely, instead of calling this as a Navaranga Mandapam, I think it should be called as Nritya Mandapam. And we'll see why it is being called as a Nritya Mandapam. Here all these pillars of exceptional beauty, I told you. That's what we see here. Not only the outer walls and bracket figures, we find dancing figures everywhere in this temple, including the Navaranga Mandapa and the sanctum. The jolly which we saw on the door jambs of the main sanctum is all, everything is not a floral design, but a dancing figure. Every small round that you see is a dancing figure in some Abhinaya and some Karana. And this has been depicted so beautifully in a high polished manner. Down below also, you find all these dances in different postures of Abhinayas or Karanas. According to inscriptions, it is said these dancing sculptures are all based from the text of Nritya Ratnavali, which was written by Jayapeshani in the 12th century. This gentleman had created this text of dance based on Bharata's Nritya Shastra, thereby forming a beautiful system of dance. Just as we have Bharatanatyam here, a new system of dance was evolved during this time, and that was based on the Nritya Ratnavali written by Jayapeshani, and that's what is being depicted as sculptures that you see here in this temple. Research and interpretation of these sculptures by a very famous dancer called Nataraj Ramakrishna. He has revived this form of dance, which was exclusive for the Telangana region, and that dance form is known as Perani Shivatandava. Perani Shivatandava is a dance that has been revived by this Nataraj Ramakrishna and still practiced by a few dancers in Hyderabad and other places. Still, it has to, the nuances of this has to come out as a full-fledged dance form. This Perani Nritya is the dance that is being done by the warriors before embarking into any battlefield. This dance was not only meant for ladies, it was also meant for men to do this dance. Men used to do this dance as a limb exercises before embarking for any war. And the roof beams, right above the four pillars that we saw, are remarkably beautiful. Remarkably beautiful. Again, these beings are intricately carved with so much of sculptures from the Shiva Purana. Here you see what is the Tripurantaka, Shiva on top of the chariot, with Brahma on one side and Vishnu on the other side. Ganesha is here, Subramanya is there, and all these things are there. And so many gods and devatas are seen all around. This is a beautiful depiction of Tripurantaka on the lintel. See, this can be viewed only by looking up like that. This is right on the top, 90, degrees above the floor level, exactly parallel to the floor level. And you have to really bend up to see this. And this is also of highly polished nature. Look at this. This is the roof. The roof is so intricately designed. The Tripurantaka on the lintel, and the four corners are also decorated with beautiful dancing figures. And one of the lintels you have Gatsamhara Murti. Look at this. The four corners are beautifully decorated with dancing figures of Ashtadikpalakas. The 8 corners, the 8 directions are beautifully marked out as if Ashtadikpalakas are dancing in the Nritya Mandapa. Look at this. You can make out the dancing figures of the Ashtadikpalakas. So beautiful. The dancing figures of Ashtadikpalakas in all presented in triangular form. The most beautiful and intricate roof designing that you could see here. The center portion is so beautifully done with parrots, lotus, and other floral diversity. Look at this dome. This is a circular dome above one of these things, which is full of dancing figures all around, and as if a lotus is opening up, and inside that, right above on the top facing down, is the dancing image of Shiva. What a beautiful creation indeed. With some of the roof designs with the floral motifs, the wonderful door jamb and the sanctum inside, where you see Ramalingeshwara. The linga itself is totally different here. Look at this wonderful dancing figure. Again, the dancing figures all around the lintel side. This is the masterpiece of the Kakatiya, the Nandi. The Nandi is intact here in this temple, but smaller in size slightly. Look at the ornate designs of so many ornaments around the neck of the Nandi, the bells, the jewelries, Nandi, amazing Nandi, an amazing Nandi. Look at the back of the Nandi. You find so many beautiful, intricate designs in that. The horns are short, the hump is big, a very beautiful Nandi. Just looking at the sanctum of Shiva inside. Placed in the Mantapam, probably the top cover of the Mantapam is totally missing now today. Amazing beauty of the Nandi. There are many freestanding sculptures and 2 temples on either side of this Ramappa temple, which is again not much in use and not very ornate or anything. but there are two other temples on either side of this. There are many freestanding sculptures like that of the elephants, the Dwarapalas, and most of these sculptures are broken. Look at the plinth design. It's totally different and beautiful. This is the Sila Sasana, which you find here, which is kept under a small created mantapa. This Sila Sasana reads about the history of the entire Kakatiya dynasty, which was etched during their time, and it's still preserved there. The entire history of the Kakatiyas have been given here in this Sila Sasana, and this is called a Sila Sasana Mantapa. The Kakatiya Thoranams. There was once a Swayambhu temple inside the fort of Kakatiyas, which was at Warangal. From Hanamkonda, they moved to Warangal, and Warangal, they had a beautiful temple, for Swayambhu, and that is all in shambles. They have brought it. The palace has been totally dismantled, and the ruins are collected and displayed in the place of the palace grounds. This is the famous Kakatiya Torana, which was very unique feature of the Kakatiya temples. Every entrance of the Kakatiya temple had this Torana, and today the Telangana government has adopted this as their emblem. Look at that Nandi and the beautiful mantapa around that. These are all collected figures from so many places and kept on display in the open air ground of the Warangal fort. That shows the great beauty of the Kakatiya and the intricate work in which they have done that. This is the Dwarapala. Again, some dancing form of Shiva, totally chopped with limbs and all been chopped. Wonderful Kakatiya Torana, the most amazing Kakatiya Torana. This is a marvel of the Kakatiya creations. The Kakatiya dynasties that ruled over the present day of Telangana from the capital city of Warangal, they fought their might to check the invasion of the Sultanate of Delhi under Alauddin Khilji, led by Malik Kafur. Unfortunately, they lost the battle, and their entire dynasty was just washed away. The great warriors, Kakatiyas, they not only created magnificent temples, they were pioneers who harvested the rainwater in huge lakes and tanks in this region, which they had built during their time. Since this place is a rain-starved area, the water stored during the monsoon served the entire area. Even today, the tanks created by the Kakatiyas are serving the purpose for agriculture and drinking water needs for the entire region in and around Warangal. Our history books do not mention about them. Their contributions alone speak. We have hardly heard them, but volumes are spoken when we see the temples that they had created. This is my humble salutation to the great Kakatiyas, and I thank you very much for sparing your time and listening to this. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Any questions?
Guru.
Yes.
The Kakatiya Torna is we go all the way to Germany to see this Brandenburger Tor. This is no way lesser to that, my dear friend. Oh my God. Unfortunately, we have not taken these things up and promoted as the West has done or any
Yes.
other country has done. Unfortunate. Oh,
How was it, Johnny?
very good. Lot of things learned.
Huh?
Lot of things here. Lot of things. Lot of things.
Any
Amazing.
questions from anybody?
I think Satish had a question already in the chat box.
What was it? Was it
No, he's asking what is the script at the base of the sculptures?
pardon?
What is the script at the base of the sculptures? Possibly when you
Sculpture, all the script is all Telugu.
all Telugu. Okay.
Telugu.
Okay. There is another question from Radhika Narayan.
Yeah.
Did Buddhism have any influence here?
Buddhism not in this part of Telangana, but it was very well prevalent in the Andhra region, very close to Vijayawada, around Guntur, Vijayawada, and all the places. Buddhism had a very high influence. This Telangana part was not much under the Buddhist influence.
Hmm.
Anybody, any questions?
Any idea about this, the number of what is that sculptures or sculptures used? Like they keep claiming for Taj Mahal there were like 22,000 guys were used and things like that.
This and all those records are not available here, and we don't have any records about those things.
This must be thousands.
And to tell you about this, I've just showed you about 2 temples of these Kakatiyas. One is the Thousand Pillar Temple, and the one is Ramappa Temple. Kakatiyas had created almost about 30 to 35 temples are there, and 90% of all the temples are in ruins and hardly any temple in good shape. And the places around Warangal and other areas and Medak district, some of the temples are there. And recently, they have excavated a temple built by the Kakatiyas, which is underground. It's below the ground level. And still, the research is going on as to find out why did they build a temple below the ground. And it's as huge as this. Any temple that you see, the temple which is under the ground is as huge as this. But still, we do not know exactly the reason as to why these temples were built under the ground.
There is a compliment from Lata. Marvelous talk with wonderful pictures.
Thank you, Lata. Thank you.
And RRA Mamu. It's lovely insights, Guru.
Thank you.
Because you need to understand a little more to ask questions, I'm sure.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much.
Now, did they have a lot of Buddhism influence? Somewhere I find that there's a lot of similarity. There's some influence of Buddhism maybe. And second is, in Orissa also, Bhubaneswar and Orissa, if you see some of these temples, there are similarities somewhere. So I don't know.
No. Radhika, this is very, very clear. This is not a Buddhism influence is not there in this part of Warangal and this Kakatiya temples. Buddhism influences, and Buddhism was a beautiful religion that flourished very much in south, and the headquarters was Amaravati. The present day new capital which is coming up in Andhra Pradesh is the capital. Amaravati existed as a big city in 3rd century BC, and so many sculptures of the Buddhist stupa from Amaravati is there in London Museum, in Chennai Museum, and other places. And Buddhism was very, very much spread throughout the Andhra Pradesh. That's why N.T. Ramarao created a beautiful Buddha statue in that Hussain Sagar Lake. So the Buddhism was very much throughout that. And here in this region, Buddhism was not very much there. I'm very clear. And this is nothing to do with Orissa sculptures, because Orissa type of temples are built in a style called Nagara style. And this is more a Vesara style. This is totally exactly a replicated version of the Chalukyans, the Kalyani Chalukyans and Chalukyan temples, with the structure of the Vimana and all that. It's very, very similar to the style of the Chalukyans. But Indian architecture has, by and large, got some influence mixed in all. Maybe some similarities you find here and there to say it could have an influence. By
Yeah.
and large, they have the same base. The base is same. From there, it is different in styles.
Very nice.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Thank you, Sai.
Thank you. Thank you.
And a compliment from V. Rajkumar. Great show, Guru.
Thank you. Thank you. So, shall we say bye?
If there is no more questions, I guess yes.
Guru, I have one or two questions. I'll ask
Yeah.
you privately later.
Yeah, who is that, Raj?
Yeah, that's me.
You can tell Raj.
No, I'll call you later. No problem.
Okay. Satish, your voice is not coming out. Satish, your voice is not coming out. No.
Broadband issue.
No. You're grunting like a baby.
It's blurring, Satish.
He's croaking, yeah?
Cracking, yeah.
There's something issue with your
Typing it. Let's see. Second. He's typing his question. Let's see. Raj's questions are in the domain of private. Okay. All right.
good.
Vasanti, you want to conclude, Vasanti? I think it has been recorded. Some of our guys have missed it, so they've requested this to be recorded and shared with later.
Good. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Guru. Thank you very
Bye.
much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Guru.
Thank you.
Thanks, Guru. Thank you.
Thank you.